There we go. Come on up, Therese.
This seat, you want me in this one right here?
Yeah, this hot one, this weather
Your
is right here.
Your seat right. Seat right here, huh?
Come join.
Why are you so smiley?
It's just been.
He's bubbly. Teresa, if you could talk by looking into the camera.
Okay.
No, this thing, right there.
And have paper with you? Okay, so
I know why he's smiling later.
that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, that's.
Okay, so April,
Go with it.
we did about 80 hours of getting rid of winter. And, pulling greens and
Yep,
chiseling stuff out. And it is done. I spent about 15 hours talking to businesses about the same things I've already talked to them about. And about 15 hours on getting the summer order under control. It's a little rough right now, but we're getting close.
well, actually, we can talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Kathy ran me the thing, I mean, where you're at now. But when I got it, it was maybe 10 days ago and you were still hoping for like 13,000.
There were a lot of people that had told me it was in the mail and it was not here, and she will tell you that I was ready to have a stroke. Because I
Well-
gave people a cutoff
Yeah,
and they completely abused it.
well, there's one that I understand is Orda, that's a
Oh,
state
you
system.
didn't even count them, because I
Because-
know that'll come
Yeah,
like 6 months from now.
I was gonna say, like,
so
next
are
year.
you in jeopardy on any aspect, or our program's okay? Like,
No, I think we're.
okay,
Like, not to mention names, but the brew house and the big slide, you said you were having trouble.
Yeah,
Even like-
they sent it. So
Are they up to date now?
everybody is current now.
Okay.
And
good.
we had picked up a new business, but we lost the church. There were 3. I should have written a note,
No,
because I
that's okay.
remembered yesterday, but right
That's
now,
fine.
it's not there right now. But we picked up High Point Apparel, which is right down here. I was really hoping they'd look at the number I gave them and say. no,
Is that
but-
the new place?
Yes, yeah, we're the skate shop used to be.
yep,
And then Greg stopped me on the street when I was working up there yesterday or the day before and asked me if I would go into Newmark because they're now fully open. And asked if I would talk to them and see if they wanted to participate. So I wrote myself a note and I've been ignoring that so far, so I will go in and check with them.
all right,
Took us about 30 hours to get the greenhouse and the trucks ready to go, and Jeremy lent me. I got Ward and Scott. And they helped me get the shade sheet on, so that's all done. The plants are all here.
good,
The greenhouse has we had about 160 flats of plants and 40 hanging baskets in there. But we are about halfway through the businesses that have to get planted. So just the number of businesses, not halfway through the plants, because some plantings are a lot smaller.
remind us how we move, like, I know, I see Stephanie was with you, so she's helping plant,
She is only planting.
right?
She is
So
only
when-
planting.
Will Shelley be back by the time,
Shelley will be here tomorrow.
okay, but doesn't she leave for a while?
She just did.
Oh, so
She
that's
just
over,
did.
okay.
That's why you saw my aunt today. She was taking pity on me
Okay,
for the last 2 or 3 days. Once
All
the
right.
plants got here,
so then your crew is 2,
yes.
okay,
My crew is Shelley, like as my full-time person until she's gone again.
yeah,
So I have her, I think, through June.
okay.
And then Stephanie is only working to plant. That's it.
So then you have no one for July and August.
Not right now.
Do we have an Adam?
Uh,
Or are we
no.
looking?
It is not still out. So
Posted it.
we posted it, but
Okay, oh, so it's online,
It was.
okay,
It's still out there, voting, but
all right.
so I'm kind of hoping that Shelley's still here in July, but
How many hours is that?
it needs to be. It isn't helpful if it's less than 25 a week.
Okay. Okay.
it has to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, at
Okay.
least half the day.
Okay.
And if somebody needs more than that, I have plenty to do, but if
Maybe
they want
somebody-
less, that would be fantastic.
I might know somebody, let me make a call.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
And then we spent about 60 hours so far prepping places and getting the spring plants in. So we definitely have a ways to go. I would bet we've probably got another 80 or 90 hours of that. But then everything will be planted, and taking it out for summer is way easier than getting it ready for spring planting.
Okay,
Getting it ready for the spring, getting all the needles and crap out and the roots from last year. It's
Yeah.
time consuming. So
good.
that's where I'm at.
That's,
So I'm gonna spend May planting and watering and deadheading and getting ready for the next huge shipment of plants.
do you have a backup pump for your water tank?
I do.
Good,
Yep, I got it last fall, just in case,
right,
because I used the backup I had.
yeah,
So when I put one on, I immediately order a new one because life has taught me that that's the only way to do it.
perfect,
Yeah, so
good deal.
we're actually not in bad shape, and we saved the old. We saved the old fan for the greenhouse roof.
Yep.
Because it was making noise, remember?
But still
We-
working,
Well, we replaced it.
Right.
We bought a new one, and as soon as I had Terry order it, it stopped making noise, and it was like it knew its days were numbered, so I just put it in the shed.
Shaving itself down.
So we did replace it just in
Yeah.
case, but we put the old one in the shed, and I would bet in a pinch it would be fine,
perfect,
so.
Good
Not bad
deal.
shape.
Thank you.
New improved version. Okay,
all good,
anybody need anything from me?
but yeah.
What do you need from me?
What?
That was good.
Just being like,
So every
Show me
time
yourself.
you need to smile, use your gut. Okay, who's next?
Nothing could be further.
So.
hey, here we go.
Oh,
Here we go.
I love enthusiasm.
When you retire, would you blow into this?
I've only had one of these.
So I don't have anything. The showgrounds plan is wrapping up soon. Um. Documents for the board to look at. It was still very unclear what we landed on this morning.
Yeah. There's gonna be two meetings in regard, actually, there's gonna be three.
I thought the secret was just, can we
The
just?
seeker can be done in a morning, yeah, so we have to do a negative declaration of seeker, and they've actually done a lot of the legwork preparing
Yeah.
the document, and because there's no land use code changes or law changes, we're just adopting a plan. It's a negative declaration, but you still have to go through all those steps, especially since it's from a state grant. So they prepared the document, and we will have time to review it, and then we probably should vote on it at our meeting on May 14th, because I asked them to be the lead agency. Because I don't think you can have co-lead agencies, even though
Yeah.
they say you can, that sounds completely not appropriate to have a co-lead agency. It doesn't say lead agencies. Anyway, so we're the lead agency, and the village will be like some sort of contractor.
Does council have to run the seeker?
No, because it's not we should send it to
It's
Mark.
not environmental,
Yeah, there's environmental questions, because seeker is always environmental.
right,
But there's, it's not like land use code where you actually like have to go through question by question and say yes or no. And then it's like the double negative of
Right.
no. Yeah, it's not that complicated because it's a negative declaration.
so we can run the seeker,
Yes, but we should pass it by Mark's office first.
okay,
So when we have the final version of it, we will send it, or Kelly will send it to Mark's office. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mark just didn't respond to it.
right,
But at least we did our due diligence in sending it to him.
There's only police that are gonna arrest you if you want.
Yeah, that was brought up this morning. I was like, then why are you doing it? And so that was one meeting on comp plan. The second meeting of comp plan is that, so we can do that at a regular board meeting, just approve the seeker. The second meeting.
Just with the draft plan.
Yeah, will be to present the draft plan. So I think ideally that would be great if we had that with the village. So potentially, oh, I guess it's the third meeting, but I think that's easier if we do it with the village because it would be a presentation by SE group. And then it would also be like a public presentation. So if the public had questions, they could ask SE group or ask us. And I just think for ease of, well, we're also running out of money to pay them in our budget. So one meeting would be a lot easier and cheaper. So once we have the dates, we'll try to coordinate I'll ask Anita and Adria to coordinate, like asking when the board is available.
So are you thinking June?
Yeah, because our contract runs out in June with them, so.
Are you looking to piggyback on the village meeting, or their second meetings in late? May?
I'm not trying to piggyback on anything. It's just when 10 people are available, or when 8 people are available, 7, 6.
I was just saying, instead of scheduling a meeting independent of what they have, so we only have the next one. in
Why would they
late May.
piggyback off us?
They can, I'm not just asking, but I'm just like, we don't hold meetings on twice a month.
Early,
on 30.
meetings early, you too.
I'm just saying, like, I guess I'm not that concerned about piggybacking off another one because it's also what's convenient for the public. Because we're not gonna have a meeting at 3:30 for the public. So it might be at 5:30 and not when there's another meeting.
That's what I'm saying, the village meets twice at 5:30, we could just go into one of their meetings and have it scheduled with one of their meetings, and we just join them.
Okay. Try that.
Who's your presenter?
It will be Julia. I'm assuming, and Julia and Alex probably.
Okay,
Not for seeker. They're not really needed for seeker.
No.
Haley can run through that. And then the third meeting would be that we think we have to ask the legal council is that we'd actually have to have like an official public hearing where we just take comments. Because it's something that we're adopting and accepting, but we're gonna ask our both Janet and Mark if that's necessary. Like, an actual like publicized public hearing on the, like accepting the final document of the comprehensive plan. Which should be done in June.
We saw that draft today. Did you get a copy of that? Did I miss that? Or is that not gonna, okay.
I hadn't seen that 100%, and
Okay.
technically I actually didn't see it because I was here, but it was on the screen and I heard you guys talking about it. Yeah, that's not,
Sorry, just making sure.
it hasn't been, I don't think it's been distributed yet. But they are very close to a final
Running out of money.
and running out of money.
Yeah.
So
well, I thought we had a set amount.
We do, so they're
They're
supposed to be.
out of it. So anything we can combine right now would be helpful.
All right,
So that was it for the comp plan.
We have one more thing about the company.
Really?
Yeah,
What else? did-
it's on a meeting.
it's expensive.
So,
Do you have to pay for?
Jackie and Haley and Adam and I met today as part of like our development director meeting. And we were talking about how it might be the opportune time to issue a statement from the town and village boards that says, in light of a new comprehensive plan, we would like to restructure the development commission and their subcommittees. So I just wanted to put that out there, if it's okay with that, or if you would like.
I'm not
more
only
soft
okay with
handling
it.
of that, or.
Yeah, the rate at which we bring on multiple directions. I think it would work better if we have a smaller group to determine what we need moving forward. Is that about as concise
Yeah.
opinion?
I'm sure there's gonna be some public, maybe, I don't know if the public actually is paying that close of attention, but there could be some, you could hear from people saying, what do you mean they're disbanding you're disbanding the development commission? So I didn't want to do it without telling the 4 of you that we were gonna, because, right, Haley has meetings coming up where they have no agenda items. And she's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, tell them they don't exist anymore.
Is this inspired by Elon? The Deutsche Bank? Who's
I've been in the building.
So that was the one thing that I wanted to bring up.
That you'll miss the people. And then you were asking about the pump track, so I had drafted up a RFP for that, and sent it to the DEC just to make them look at it to make sure it was fine. And they said it was fine, so that can go out soon. I was kind of waiting for April to be over, mostly and to kind of get the okay.
Same with the dog park.
Dog park, yeah, and then I met with Rotary last week at the site just to show them, and they're still on board, they're very excited. So. I was gonna see if I can do some clearing. But I'll talk to them later.
Yeah,
Books.
have we discussed this with Ken? I know at one time he was concerned with the amount of traffic in and out of the transfer station. We put a pump track out there, we put a dog park out there. And everything else is out there. Basically a single lane road that you're running.
The dump room or the,
Yeah.
to the.
Both.
Both.
Last time I talked to him about it, he didn't come up, but I don't know what.
Okay, I mean, PL, I had a meeting with them right before I had gone on vacation and they're still reiterating their concern over it just being a single.
Yeah.
I would say that PLL brings in a lot more traffic than a pump track or a dog park.
Well, I just mean cumulatively. If
Yeah.
you keep putting more and more
Frequency.
out there. As versus the showgrounds.
Should we paint a double line right down the middle of it? Still the-
I'm just,
Bring, that's what I say to Nick.
It's-
Solutions.
I think it's- Right, yeah.
He doesn't have time for this nonsense, right?
you put it at the showgrounds. You keep it at the showgrounds.
But I think, we're talking about the line, but the point is, for years, everybody's raced in and out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, not cut the corners, take it wide,
Use the whole road.
yeah, that's it. Probably lining wouldn't be a bad idea.
Or I was gonna say is the solution to widen the road. Is there a way of?
So we could do it someplace it would be.
They should have it's just one point of egress.
Oh, that's their issue, not the.
Yeah.
the window.
Yeah.
Correct.
And evacuation
Yeah,
type
which
situation.
has always been there.
And then not much we can do about that.
Which I appreciate their forward thinking on that.
And
Right. I
Regulations.
mean, it's not their paving right now, just take the fence down, just make it done and just run that. run
First
right down.
responders, we reacted to, you met last year to have
Yeah.
a plan for that.
Or we do like major airports too.
Underneath.
Well, I know they
Yeah.
did bring that up. That was like, seriously,
They want to
do
pay
that
for a
thing.
tunnel.
they understand how much.
Should have said, we'll share the cost.
That's what I think, just BLL want a tunnel underneath the runway.
Yeah, we'll do 50% if you will.
What else you got, Haley?
Not much. Otherwise, the big stuff I was working on this past month was some grant applications for childcare committee slash first steps slash whatever, which are done. And hopefully that will be for a while.
I did talk,
You mean you weren't enjoying yourself?
It made no sense. Anyway.
I did talk briefly with Ken over Lodge Road.
Okay.
And I realized we have two options now with the bidding process. We could bid it out to local area contractors who in turn are responsible for contacting women's owned organizations. I guess that's somewhat common.
Yeah,
As a subcontractor?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they're all kind of bound by the same laws. He thought that might be an easier route than making you go through the list and do
Well,
everything.
based on the conversation I had with DEC, they want us to at least send the email out to that list and then also to local contractors with
Okay.
the option to subcontract out.
Because,
But I,
so when you send them, then it's just a general notification that we're getting ready to bid.
with like, it's like a little email thing, you have to get a little template with like,
Okay,
you know, the
And
information.
if they respond, then you have to react, but if they don't, it's, I'll get together with you next, Ken asked me to get together.
Yeah, no problem.
Ken's sort of losing sleep over this.
yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
a lot of words to say, like not that much.
Well, it's not that much work.
Yeah,
You've got all the information, you just put a thing together and you send it out.
yeah.
but we want to
So-
capitalize on companies that are here paving this summer in case they would stay here to do this project in the fall.
So I'll touch base with you probably tomorrow, tomorrow.
Exactly, mobilization. Good, that's enough. We know you got plenty going on. Thanks, Haley.
Well.
High five.
Who's next?
Are you on, are you taking notes on this? Who these people are?
You're gonna be here all night.
How you doing, Todd?
Great.
Yeah,
Assessment change notices are in the mail.
Ooh.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So-
Phone calls.
Yes.
I love those. That notification.
Oh,
5 or 6%.
I was 8.
Oh, I got a whole diatribe.
Okay,
So. When you include. All up and down,
we increased by $250 million in value. That's assessed value.
Does that include new construction or just an increase in what was?
Both.
Right.
And losses that we had some nominal losses. So when you look at changes without new construction, without destruction, that kind of thing. The level, just the level at which we assess went up 5.31%. So that's all my efforts combined. Recording what's come on and come on.
That's across our three levels, commercial, vacant and residential.
And taxable state of mind.
Okay,
So if you look at everything except what are called transition assessments and aggregate assessments. The explanation and those. We went up $233 million. Like I said, you don't want the finest details on it. It often comes to question how much we're losing to exemptions. We don't really have a lot of choices about nonprofits, about churches, things like that. So starting from the back part. We have 22.9% of our assessments are exempt. And I figured you find that kind of important. But, for example, if you add up all of the versions of agent exemption, that's only 0.56% of us. Insignificant.
right.
If you add up all the veterans, 0.27%. So the things that we have something to do with don't need any doing.
Right,
And the reason I brought that up, especially the aged, is because we stopped counting social security income. And we've got a number of people quite grateful to have exemptions now. That they didn't have before just because it counted social security and it put them over. So
our percentage of exemption buildings for assessment purposes is less than half of Saranac Lake.
40%.
They were like 46%.
You give us the smallest numbers. Well, do you have a category that is the largest of exemptions?
town-owned generally. Because, you know, we have the land under the arena.
Right.
Have the land under the sled dogs. A lot of money.
Yeah,
So it looks like a big bunch, but it's stuff that's not gonna get taxed, period, so might as well get over it. Anything else big here? Really, nothing.
and no correspondence on our,
I was gonna get to that later.
oh, you do have,
Oh, no, that's
oh,
unfortunate news. And for Emily.
The solution?
She doesn't have time for these.
So, what you want, this is a solution? Doesn't sound like one.
Well, to some. We went up 5% in assessment. But we went up 6.42% in taxable. So that's the rub, where the rubber hits the road, is taxable money. So that's how much you got to play with, 6.42%. Sure. So to the point, I don't know if the whole board knows about this, but we were supposed to swap appraisals for 185 Old Military. A couple times now, and last month, at this time, we were supposed to swap. We did our part, our lawyers got the stuff where it needed to go. It didn't get redisclosed to the people it wasn't supposed to, but they came up short, the opponents did, and asked for another extension. And I would have expected to hear about that 2 days ago. Haven't heard anything about it, but 10 days after the extension was granted, I got an email from this young lady that, do you mind, we're the appraisal group, KLW is the name of the outfit, we're the appraisal group for 185 Old Military. Could you give us your sketches? Meaning, there is no appraisal in existence.
They haven't done one yet,
And,
or they're not, or they're lying about the one they had done.
you know, we got
Either way.
them talking about dead grandmothers and stuff for extensions. It's all a bunch of crap.
I'll send them some sketches if you'd like.
I sent sketches because they're public information, and I was nice about it. Because it gave me a good chuckle, but it's really not a laughing matter.
No.
No,
Now we're being lied to.
and the term of this goes back to 17, doesn't it?
It's 7 years old, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now it's 8 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got that. In case you want to know, I'm holding informal hearings. So once you get your,
Yeah, I'm waiting. Okay.
once you get your notice in the mail, if you want to come gripe at me, you've got May 10th, 13th, 15th, and 20th. And grievance day is on the 27th. And I could give you the time slots, but it says that on your change notes.
Okay,
You know, this doesn't need to be a yearly thing to everybody, you know what I'm saying?
5%, and it was, that's not much. It was 8% last year, 18 the year before.
So it's so bad.
That's all it is.
It's fantastic.
Just get over it.
Yeah.
It's like getting your power bill this next month. Is it gonna be there again?
Well, there's.
talk a little bit though about. You know, when you wanna cut us all down, you talk about how the numbers actually work out. If we went up 250 million in assessment and our property values went up 5%. How do you suppose that's gonna more or less even out across the board? The chance that you basically pay the same amount as you did last year are probably pretty reasonable.
If you guys did not change your levy, there would be no effect. If everybody's going up 5%,
Yeah,
there would be no net effect on their taxation.
right.
But you guys are going towards the tax cap probably. So there's 3% eroded away there.
What was it, 2.7 this year? Yeah, whatever.
I have.
So half of it, right?
So, yeah. And I didn't just change everybody 5%.
Right.
And by the way, it's 5% residential, 4% vacant land, 3% commercial enterprise businesses.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that also, the fact that taxable went up quite as much as it did is, they had a lot of new construction. Which I'm sure Darcy did
Yeah,
attest to.
good.
So, any questions, that's all I have.
No, that's good.
We'll have plenty of beginner notices.
Well, his phone's gonna start.
My house sold one of his timeshares.
No.
Does Dick get his own time? You follow him.
Instead of lots.
Per parcel,
Yeah,
book yourself a slot,
yeah,
talk to my bulldog.
yeah, right.
I think it is worth saying though, that I think it's amazing that in times like these, that our assessments still continue to rise.
We're a special place, a good place to bank money.
Yeah,
Real estate has not altered up
in
here.
fact, I got your husband's quarterly letter today. Did you read it?
To do help.
Did they? Yeah, you did.
Never watched his videos.
No,
He's got videos.
no,
Really?
yeah.
Right on the website.
All right, brother, thanks for.
Thank you.
I know when you
I'll
get
say-
that email from me.
Not even a fist bump?
Keep your.
Fist bump to myself.
Bring the sunshine, we'll put sunglasses on, they don't want to be it.
Oh, yeah, you'll have to split it in two different chairs.
No, not all.
Are you referring to yourself as a ray of sunshine?
I didn't catch that. They
You could tell, where's the sunglasses?
To Todd's point, he's right to the building bubble, real estate bubble continues, so we are seeing like tons of construction.
Brian's gonna pop some.
The other, no, we didn't, the other thing that affects Todd too, we in our office just about died yesterday. Granted, it was 80 degrees, but we didn't wanna upset Todd and Deb, so we didn't ask for air conditioning, but we're really in a pickle, so. Did you bring down the?
I did.
Yeah.
Like a couple window units or something to get you through?
Cause right, there's nothing happening with windows or
Yeah.
main splits.
Is that on the destination?
No, what are they, like $300 a piece?
Found on Amazon, one was a little over 400, one was 400.
Yeah, where do you think you'll put them?
Probably.
Like halfway between you and him?
Yeah,
The
the,
one between us and Barry.
What's that?
And windows, right?
yeah,
One between us and one by Barry.
Okay,
and
We'll put it in
We don't know
twenty
what
twenty-six.
we're not gonna
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna need
But-
some.
Just have a fan, right?
we'll have a fan.
We'll get you all the fans that you need. Build start.
How much are box fans?
1999.
Yeah, something like that.
Pull some out of
listen, until the whole system is,
Right.
I don't blame you, cause it's
Yeah,
knocked down hot in there.
and right, there's nothing with windows or mini splits this summer, in the next month, right?
Oh.
This is a long term.
There's nothing
I
happening.
guess I should look at you because,
We were talking about putting bars on the window.
well, I mean, logistically, I gotta
Yeah.
tell you, we have to finish the front windows
Right,
with the lentils.
yes,
When that gets done, then the mayor and the village board had offered 50% of their power authority credits or whatever,
right,
toward new windows.
yeah,
New windows will be a tremendous help.
they will,
Then maybe at the same time, it depends on bonding or
Yeah.
whatever. Whether the village would wanna share with us or whatever,
okay,
because Kimball's done the designing and everything. I think he's got a
right,
plan for this building already. It's a matter of bringing it to the forefront.
okay, so
So in the
air
meantime,
conditioners then.
Where did you come up with those? I mean,
Amazon.
I just want, because as a matter of fact, in this month's consumer reports, there's a whole different thing on air conditioner, inserts. Different types that I didn't know even existed,
Hmm.
that were reasonably priced.
Just check it out. Just assume before they did more.
as long as we're talking
Yeah.
about this, explain to me,
I want
like,
one.
doesn't the system,
We may need.
doesn't the system, your side as well, in the winter, you get, they get no heat or,
The biggest beef is the air conditioning situation.
Yeah,
I get way too much, they don't get enough.
yeah,
oh, so you're okay.
he's wearing a sweater
I
and,
wear a sweatshirt.
yeah, we're like dying.
She's at North Alabama. Sweatshirts.
When you're looking at those, make sure your decibel or whatever the noise thing is the lowest you can get because.
Yeah, this would be the unit where the condenser's outside the window, like the U-shaped one, and just the fans inside.
So you won't have.
Because we did try that, and it was super noisy and we couldn't hear, so,
Okay,
okay,
Which
so,
was the cost.
Yeah, but just check that consumer reports out, to it, you can get online to see, but there was something, information in that article, which I was never aware of in different types that take up less room and everything.
occupancy tax. So,
that's right.
couldn't resist.
Uh,
Do they put in for leaf grade?
yes, where's Haley? We need to. So Derek, you and I, and Rick was there too, so the agenda coming out for next week, there was a thought that maybe the peaks with their revised plan would be on that agenda. Talked to Tim Smith about it, and with the original contract, I'll say, right, the town board was the legislative body that created and agreed on that contract and made certain things applicable and certain things not.
That's right.
So with this revised plan, Tim's recommendation is the town board's the legislative body. It would be a waste of time to have them come to the review board.
Because if we change even one aspect
Yeah.
of that agreement.
Yeah.
And little by little, I've started this conversation, I think a little bit with you and Rick, and I think I brought it up just once in a work session, but it basically centers around this. there are deed restrictions that we were successful in the agreement. I probably won't remember them all, but it's no STR rentals in there. The biggest one being, 10% would have to go to an affordable type housing
Oh,
situation.
the Joe Burrell's.
Yeah.
Yeah, the peaks.
And in his moving forward, he has decreased the number from 355 down to 188 or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
385 to 270.
Okay.
Something.
Along with that, he wants a way of there to be no housing initiative there. So we have to first ask ourselves that question, whether we would let that relinquish. What would the payoff be? There is a current law that Emily's gonna have to explain to us again, or Darcy.
Yeah.
Naturally, that's not to Joe's liking. Is there compromise in there? Or even if there is, what should it be? But because Emily's already working with Darcy on amendments, is it time to look at the size of developments and what a new schedule would be? I don't like just approaching one parcel in this bigger issue. But I need help, because I'm not the expert in the room on that.
Wasn't Joe Lamb was tied? Didn't he have a development? in
Yeah.
that Too?
But it was so
Joe Brown's
small.
also done it before too.
Well, I'm just saying, just changing it.
Oh, yeah,
Joe Brown and Joe Lamb were the only two who've ever turned it in.
yeah. Was that Verizon?
for Horizon.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where we're at. So if you're gonna postpone his plan now, I mean, we can set a special town board meeting just for that. I don't know how to get started, Emily, on this.
I won't repeat what I said to Darcy today.
Well,
I don't care how we get started. Like, I don't care. Like, I mean, he has to have a conversation with us. I've never talked to him.
right,
Like, you think you talk to me? So
yeah,
then I would suggest, I think I would suggest that Joe Burrell have a conversation with the town board, and it's not for me or you or Darcy to handhold him through the process.
right.
Initiate the conversation.
Yeah.
He's not even.
So I really don't care. If he wants to move it forward, then he should
So
start the
we need to have
conversation.
you involved in this.
Yeah, and I'm sure Joe's really excited about that, but, and I'm happy to be involved in it.
Yeah. All right, so,
So then we are going to say, Joe, your next step is to make arrangements for the town board and to present to them.
yeah,
Like, make a formal recommend or request, is that,
Yeah,
okay?
No, he just what he did the first.
Sort of the presentation he
Presentation.
gave to us.
Yeah.
Just like he did the first time.
submitted stuff for the review board, but it really is your decision. And, you know, it's 80 something pages, so we can gladly forward that on to you if that's what, you know, he would like, but, yeah.
what's
it's
80,
electronic.
what's 80 pages?
His presentation.
His revision.
And it's not that it's scary, but it's just lengthy.
Okay.
I would like him to do the abridged version that he did in your office
Yeah,
Sure.
instead of this formal presentation on what it's going to look like. I think it's all conceptual
Right.
to us.
Yeah. I was
And,
gonna
and
say-
that's like where the review board cares,
Right.
Right.
not where we care. What we care is about the deed restrictions. So
Yeah.
I don't want to see one picture about what it's gonna look
Yeah.
like. I want him to tell us what his pitch is, like what,
Yeah,
and then I'll tell him what mine is.
Why he doesn't want to abide by the 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what if he's not willing to abide by the 10%, why? And what is his counter offer?
yeah.
Yeah.
So under
Oh, you know-
executive session,
You know why he doesn't want to
can
buy.
we call a special
Yeah, so
meeting
he's money.
for
Yeah,
that?
that's right. I mean, he'll admit it too.
If we can find a way to
What if he's honest about it?
make it confidential.
I do not think it
Talks
should
about
be
Joe
executive
Burrow.
session. He should go through this publicly.
I-
He wants to
I-
not include
I
affordable
agree with
housing.
Emily.
Oh.
No, no,
Well, then, that's
No, I don't-
kind of why I'm asking. I
No,
don't
no,
know how to
agree.
start.
he should publicly have to
Yeah.
say, I don't want to put affordable housing.
He-
I want him to say that on the record in front of a bunch of people and a reporter.
And there would be no justification for executive session.
Okay, that helps me at
Yeah,
least know.
I mean,
how
we
to
could
forward.
get the lawyers involved and then have a patient, a lawyer.
So how do you feel about a special town board meeting just for that? because it's gonna be considerable conversation.
If you call it. Call 10, it's for trouble. I'm not like looking forward to it.
Well, I mean, he could give us his presentation. At a meeting, at a regular meeting, and then we may have to call one for discussing.
Yeah, I think it should start as him in a public forum at a regular town
That
board.
town board meeting, give us a whatever, the presentation, whatever long it takes, hopefully not 80 pages worth.
Yeah,
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that only doesn't need to be,
We give him
but
20 minutes.
yeah, something like
Just
that.
tell him, you got 20 minutes to.
Right, and now we'll take it under consideration, and we'll get back to you with any.
and
questions.
once we have a request, we know how to respond.
Well, we know, once, yeah, we request, then we get together and say, here's our questions and what's going on.
Okay. Do you
Does
want me
he
to try to,
initiate that through Adrian, May 13th? We can,
May 13th is gonna be a,
and your deadline's what, like a week prior?
Friday by 3:30 prior.
can we push it
say-
to June?
Hmm?
Can we push it to June?
Oh, you can do, all we're saying is,
13th, that's long.
I don't know.
I can tell you, we have a BTI presentation, which is only gonna be 10 minutes
We also have.
from John.
leaf.
Riley.
leaf
Are your
presentation.
game coming?
Yep. No, that's where they hand out the checks. That's the Dick show. Remember?
I might make a long meeting, but it's gonna make more people.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah,
let's
sure.
do jokes at the fall.
And if I seem certain, no.
Have you, you haven't,
Drafted.
the meeting yet? Get his address where he's at.
Yeah.
Oh, because he's not gonna be here for the.
I have
it. Right.
So if it's noted that they can go to his rental property and watch the meeting, attend the
I think that's a
meeting.
fantastic idea.
That's great. If you're in the southern, if you're in Florida, is Polly come with you?
Yeah. there'll be
I
plenty
don't
to-
know.
Nina does it.
there'll be plenty to
I know.
make, so.
Yeah, oh, so it's
Yeah.
funny.
Okay, anyhow.
All right, so we will direct him to.
Yeah. Be prepared for May 13th,
Okay.
if you want. If you don't,
And if
Right.
he's,
it's gonna happen.
please say he's limited to 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
fast?
What else do we have? Oh, well, Tim is working on septic law language.
Still?
Yep.
Bring it home, huh?
He's,
Send us another thing today.
he sent us another quick revision and Roby had said, had seen some of the revisions and said he was good with it. David and I had a couple of things that we were like not 100% about, so we'll look at that, but it's getting close.
Yeah.
I'm almost done my voter safety licensing program. So David's got his already, so I think
What was that?
everybody needs a butter license.
Oh,
So,
boater. I
yeah.
thought you said butter. I'm like.
No.
And do you
Thanks
know,
for sharing. I didn't come up.
is there truth that someone renting a boat is exempt?
Not sure.
That's what the rumor is.
Huh.
Can you believe it?
David, you know that?
My understanding is every person driving a boat in New York State has to have a license.
I
Okay,
think if you're under,
Effective this year.
right, if you were under 16, you have to be with an adult or something, but yeah, I kind of
Because
agree
it
with
was a
that.
phased approach. It's been
Yeah.
5 years.
yeah,
They upped the age each year and effective this year was every.
So they're gonna have now at boat rentals, you take the test.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not really a problem. I don't know.
And you just like.
Nothing. So, I mean, I've put in probably at least 4 hours. Yeah.
Oh, my course.
So then how would you plan to drive boats?
As
I
a
don't-
tourist, you come up here and ride a boat.
Maybe,
I mean, you just have your license beforehand, which I guess is probably a good thing.
right.
Like if you knew you were gonna rent a boat, you get your
Right.
license.
The
average showboat doesn't have to sit through a week.
Yeah, it's
It's just like a change in the law.
Yeah, pretty decent.
maybe.
Cause you,
Yeah.
like, you can't rent a car with a license, so.
Or like some fishing that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Yeah, but it's from a state with everyone by the license.
Darcy, do you have any news on what's going on with the disaster looking up the street?
Which one?
Which one?
The big one?
No,
Yeah, the old fireside.
I actually called, the design professional about that and, they are on pause they're still going to go with the smaller building that had the commercial and the lodging kind of stuff. The other brew house is on pause for right now. So we'll see.
I heard something purchasing stake in the seafood.
They are.
We heard that, but the person said to me that no bid has gone in, nothing is finalized on that, exploring
An
options.
hour ago, I got a different story.
Oh, hey,
You
Price
know the answer.
that was last week's information, so what do I know?
That's what I did, according to Rob.
I'll tell you now.
Uh-huh,
It's under contract.
okay,
Quote unquote.
yeah, so we'll
Yep.
see what happens with the other.
Yep.
I think that's it for us.
We have a little update
Yeah,
until I don't know about our meeting.
Got a meeting with Orda today on a different matter,
oh, okay,
but it came up that Derek posed the question to Ashley about code enforcement and code,
mm-hmm,
since they do not have anyone on staff any longer.
they don't?
Well,
I thought they had 5 people.
Well,
they
yeah,
Okay,
they do but don't.
okay.
So Derek asked.
Typical word of passion, by the way. That way.
They do what they don't.
They do, but they
They
don't.
passed.
Wow.
Derek asked if there was any possibility of using, since we're the experts, and I know your
Mhm,
opinion of this. And Ashley is very open to it.
Hmm,
In fact, would like the two of your input
interesting.
based on,
We put input in and no one listened to it.
you see, the roadblock was Mike.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie about that.
Hmm,
But you guys would be very well received, and she as much as said that. There's so many projects where,
mhm.
so,
was Mike around for the sign, or was that,
No, that was David and I.
okay?
We left Mike out of it.
Both mics.
Both, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Not Mike Roselli or Mike Trout.
so
Okay.
it might be
Well,
another bridge worth crossing.
sure. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
He said something about you needing to do, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I think that's all we've got.
Butchered that, that's okay.
Yeah. Do you think of anything? Okay.
Felt like there's
That's
a
it
lot
for
of
us.
that stuff was said there, not really said.
Yeah,
Mhm.
need
Uh,
to see the expressions on the face. No.
Drive my house? Yeah, no, we're happy to talk and work through
Give
that.
your input.
Jeremy, the one, I mean, a lot of them now.
Every chance I get.
Darcy and Dave, I will bring you up to date. We've talked kind of unofficially about maintaining those tent ditches, out at
Yeah,
showgrounds.
Right.
We had elevation shot for all of that, so now I understand how everything runs from the beginning to the end. For the most part, everything's intact. We have one little low spot that frost might have changed.
Yep.
But we are in the process now of getting 8 dry wells to add to the percolation of those areas. The village of Saranac Lake is helping us out.
Right.
So,
Kathy Swazo.
I called Swazos
Yep,
and requested that this information be put in their
yep,
stormwater report.
perfect.
So it's all above board, but I
Nice.
know you guys should know what we're doing.
Yep, we drove down there and, yeah, just like looked at some of those ditches and.
I'll make a note
Okay.
and give you specifics tomorrow if I
Sounds
can.
good.
Good.
The other thing that's slightly related to your office is that Dakota Partners, which was the large, they're back.
Really?
Yeah, with a big question mark, but just so you're aware.
Huh.
Asking
That'll be
for
interesting.
information from Swazo.
Yeah, because right, we haven't
heard from them since the initial presentation.
They were waiting for us to pay
And
for
we
the,
haven't heard from them since we said we'll do it, but you have to pay for some of it. And we just paid for it and now they're back.
Okay, great idea.
Okay.
Joe can work with them.
We deferred them to Joe.
we
We said, "Oh, we have a solution for you.
Yeah, right.
And didn't work out. Crazy.
good deal.
Two populations can't make.
Should we let Kathy go first?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I.
only because he needs us for exec session.
Okay.
As long as you high five.
Told you.
You didn't fist bump either one of them when they left either.
He's lost his
Yeah.
enthusiasm.
He ran out of candy.
His leg is shot, stopped shaking over here and everything.
So I have reached out to that guy who did the inspection, for Saranac Lake chimney.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
still haven't received, it's been over 2 weeks now. Give him till tomorrow, then maybe have somebody else lined up who can
I-
look at
I
it.
do have another
Okay.
good chimney company,
So
Tip Top.
you wanted me to do, oh, we still have not received any cannabis plants this year.
I know, we're waiting
Just so you know.
Village is waiting for a response.
Okay. Do you want me to go through this stuff with my job? Okay.
That would be great, but first, I know you already did a projection sheet for us on 6 million.
Yeah.
If you could, do one at 4 million. And I think on steel buildings, 15 years is our max, but I'm not sure.
It is 15 years. is the
Okay.
max. I checked with,
right.
so this is a draft. Subject to change. If you guys want,
I have that, but
and
great.
what correct, anyway. Rumor has it that I'm gonna retire next year.
What?
The question is when. So I kind of drafted up what I feel is representative of what I do. And some of this could be, I believe, split out, depending on how you guys decide to go forward with the HR portion of stuff.
Yeah, we're working on
Um,
that too.
When I started here 20 years ago, I walked into an office that didn't have anybody in it. I believe it was about 6 months. You had Diane at the time doing account clerk stuff and payroll.
Yep.
And then she got fired and then there was nothing for a while. Then I came in and it took me about 6 months to get the books
Manageable.
manageable is a good word, yeah. And this was at the same time that the state comptroller's office was looking at everything. I don't know that it would, depending on who you guys think would be a good fit for the position, I don't know that it would be a 6-month transition. But if you decided you wanted to have somebody in for 6 months, my thought would be through budget and annual report, like October through March would be the best 6-month period, but there's no guarantee, there's no guarantee that I would retire in April or not until August. So I don't know how you feel about having another individual, like 2 people doing the same job doesn't make sense. So I'm not sure how that,
You'd have to delay it.
or I could just leave her.
No.
There is always the option that I don't get reappointed the first of the year.
Good point.
There is always that
That's
option.
that's right, that's a good
So, you
point.
know, that's something that you guys have to think about.
I do think it's important that they sit through a budget session too.
Yeah.
And that annual report. Putting everything together and just all of our different departments to understand. I mean, this budget is $12 million now.
That's just one aspect.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, exactly. Day to day and,
And also, the other thing to keep in mind too is after this year's over, we're gonna have to have an audit. We're gonna have to have a CPA firm come in and do an audit.
because of our federal money
Right.
to the airport for
Right.
one.
Yep. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to have my replacement sit through that as well, because then they'll get a good sense of what I did, maybe where things could be improved based on the auditor's suggestions or whatever, and then, you know, they can build their own methods of how they want to approach things.
Yeah. And I know it is so early in the process, but I still want to stay on top of this for planning as we look for that person that might come in, let's say, September 15th. Gearing up, because it might be very important for them to also be able to meet with the Jeremys and every department head that brings the stuff prior to budget. Budget isn't just sitting around the table like we do.
Yeah.
So much is done prior to that. So if,
Plus, this will be like Jeremy's first year working through building a budget for the park district.
exactly. So my point is, we'll know better, like say by July. If
I
you know
hope
it's
that-
gonna be, next July.
I have an appointment set up with my retirement guy in early June. My husband's working through his VA disability process, which could be months. But I would say by July, we would have a much better feel as to whether it's likely that I would be out in April versus say August of next year.
I definitely can't speak for the rest of the board, but having that person transition and comfortable is gonna be much better for all of us than someone that comes in and has to struggle. There's help in each department to some extent, but that's gonna be minimal. But certainly moving to a direction of separate HR is gonna help tremendously. We've already recognized that need. You even alluded to the fact that, let's say something happens and it turns into next September before you can actually go.
Right.
Maybe you move down to 50% your salary for 3 months. I
Right.
don't know. But
Right, or there's the option too, let's just say, I'm just throwing this out there, again, there's no guarantees, right? I don't. Other than you not reappointing me or the board deciding to fire me,
right,
there is no guarantee that I'm gonna be out of here until I dial up the retirement system and say I'm filing my papers.
right,
Right, and I don't have to do that until 90 days before my retirement date. And as little as 15, I think, or 30 days, right? So
Right.
if I decide April, I want to retire, I could tell them in March and you guys would know in March.
right.
But,
Listen, I
You know,
know. Oh.
so, but there's the option. Say you find somebody in September that you guys like, that's a real good fit. And they start and they do phenomenal and you're all real happy. You're like, yeah, it's kind of a waste of the town's money to have two people in one job. I could retire then, assuming everything works out financially for me, then if there was the need, you could always bring me back as like part-time, you know, cause you're
Consult.
allowed to earn like 30,000, I think, through retirement,
Right,
you know, before they say, no, you can't do anymore and you forfeit it. So, I mean, there are options.
Yeah.
If it's necessary, but I think if you find the right person, you really, a lot of the job is just, other than knowing the accounting, is just knowing who to go to ask the questions to learn what they need to learn.
right.
You know, that's what I did.
But Kathy, I have to note that your position and you have been a cornerstone. I couldn't do this job without a you.
Mhm.
And like you pointed out to me today, we are a class 2
Yeah.
township.
Yeah.
Which means all fiscal responsibility falls on me, soon to be you. Yeah.
So,
That's part of the.
there,
I want you to know my appreciation. So
She's.
none of us can take this
Yeah.
lightly. This is
Yeah.
a
Oh,
major,
yeah.
major.
No, this is,
yeah,
it's kind of a bummer. Kind of disappointed that you brought it up at this meeting.
I'm sorry.
But it's because you are an anchor to the organization. You elevate everybody else and keep us.
Honestly, I'm just tired.
Kathy, when do you really formally start or informally start the budgeting
Okay, so usually it depends on when I take my vacation, like,
When
but
have to.
the latest, September 1.
Okay, so September,
But September 1 is, so the month of September generally is the process of reaching out to all the department heads saying, okay, it's time to start thinking about what you have, what you don't have, what you want. And, you know, writing it all up and putting it down on paper and handing it back to me. And usually I get all that information by the 20th. And I have until the end of the month to compile it all,
So it's really the
to
20th.
put into a document that technically is given to the town clerk to give to you.
right.
But I never bother with that. It doesn't make sense.
We
I just bring it
understand.
right to
So the
you.
first part of August would be a good time to
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I'll really
initiate.
start putting stuff together for, I mean, I'm doing it now. I start
Right.
putting things into budget.
But you could go
Now.
back if we advertised or look for somebody in.
Yeah.
First part of August, you hire them by the end of August, you could go back with the person probably.
Right, and even if
Right.
September first is
Right.
when you notify the department heads and everything, they don't need to, that's an easy explanation. So it's
Yeah.
really feasibly, as long as we had somebody on board by the 20th of September.
Right, you have a very optimistic timeline. Don't want to sit by August first and get hired. That seems.
Well, there's people out there, I think. So,
And it is-
Awesome.
and it-
And I
Yes, it is a higher
would
skill.
definitely-
So,
I would
With-
definitely
with humans.
recommend
So-
that you all talk to your other professional, you know, friends or whoever, accountants, lawyers, whoever, and ask if they know of anybody
oh, sure.
who is good with management / budgeting / accounting. The governmental section of it could be learned. That's not rocket science.
And even though the whole board has a say in this, that position is a supervisor's appointment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think.
You don't have to advertise for it.
And I think, and I think that type, this position is something that we will get, I think, inquiries from places we never even think of, as far as geographically.
It's there, I think.
Hey. Live in Saranac.
I know, I was a couple.
I don't know about that.
Totally.
That's right, you came over,
The other side of the tracks.
yeah. All right, so
All right.
What side of the rail
What's that?
trail?
Oh, it's out of the rail trail.
Yeah, we
Oh, the trick.
gotta modernize the thing.
All right, so moving on, I have,
So you led with this?
Yeah, I know. I was just about to say, eh, can it
I
get
feel
any
like we're
worse?
just conversation over with. I
thought it was an easy presentation.
I can't believe you guys don't want to get rid of me, so.
Well, that's not, okay, I'll shut up.
Wait for,
Just make sure whatever you say, you follow it up with a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, last year, okay. As you know, ever since COVID, there's been all kinds of issues with getting equipment ordered and delivered and all this crap. Well, last year, we were supposed to receive a Toro
that's right.
Greens
Yeah, that's right.
mower that didn't come until the end of the year.
That's right.
And it has subsequently been paid for. But in the meantime, last year, apparently, there was some kind of handshake agreement done between the powers that be. That said, well, we'll give you a rental for $1,000 a month. And they never billed us for it, so now we have a $6,000 bill from last year.
Who signed off on that?
Nobody signed off on it. There's nothing in signatures, it was,
Someone at Craigwood okayed that?
if I had to guess, I'll give you.
Jeremy,
Why did you do that?
You make some really bad choices.
Right,
In my sleep, I did.
What the rental fee was for.
from May through September.
because
Rented, we did
Here,
rent
we
some.
rented a different greens mower
Okay.
for $1,000 a month. Until the other one that we paid $93,000 for was delivered in October.
they didn't take the 6 off of 93, of course.
Yeah.
It's not rent though.
Is it the same? It's the same.
It's not the same, it's the same company, but not the same machine. Yeah,
Okay.
so anyway, that'll be a budget adjustment, cause I
Yeah,
don't see how we can't not pay it unless you
I
want
have
to,
another budget
Be a
adjustment.
real-
That's
you know, what about it? So there's that. And then also, in regards to the internet/phone cable service out at Craigwood. We, just this afternoon, I got an email saying that they will, do the install of the new modem out there on May 21st. Between 10 and 11.
They think a modem will solve it?
It's an upgrade. They
Okay.
need to put a new modem in there to give us more service.
Yeah,
And that's for the, quote unquote internet, but apparently, I don't know if that's going to affect the phones and the TV and stuff out there. But the whole, they told me the whole,
Yeah.
account
account.
is an upgrade. We can't do one without upgrading the whole thing. So it's, apparently the modem is located in the garage. I'm not sure.
Nope.
That's what this
It's
says.
not, I looked at it yesterday with David.
I thought there was actually two of them.
I thought so too.
Well, there is
So,
a modem down in the garage, but that modem's not feeding.
but it's all on the same account and it says
Sure.
the service location is 141 Country Club Lane Garage, Lake Placid, New York. So we might need to reach out and just verify that they know that there's two that have. to be-
Yeah.
I thought there was one in the back room.
There is,
There is.
that's what's servicing the clubhouse.
And that's what I thought we were talking about when we were doing all this, so.
Maybe that's why.
We wouldn't need an upgrade on the
I
garage.
didn't need an upgrade on the
I think the
garage.
reason why the garage one was down there because that's where Matt on the left.
Yeah, I mean, that's where Willis
Yeah,
has.
'cause they do a
Right.
lot of
Willis
parts,
has it down there.
Right.
they do a lot of ordering
And there
for parts
is.
and.
And now we have the security cameras down there too.
Okay.
Should we be putting a work order in for Showgrounds, that office?
So Lori, yeah, it's a whole separate thing. So Lori has their person for their internet service coming on Monday to
Okay,
be able to give Trent's computer service. And
okay,
then we'll have to set up with Twin State a time, hopefully the next week, for them to put in the firewall.
okay.
And they have internet down there, the horseshoe grounds.
In that office building, yes.
Yesterday, she told me they did not,
It's only
No,
for a
they-
during horse show.
for a month.
No, they have, no, they have
That's what she
internet.
told me.
No, they have internet. They don't have Wi-Fi. They only turn Wi-Fi on.
Okay.
And for the 2 months that they're here in the summer because it's expensive. So they have.
Wait a minute, yeah, I'm looking at you, what?
That's what she told me. It's their internet. So I have
Yeah,
no
we're not paying
idea.
the bill, so let's just not
Right,
ask questions and move on.
But no, that makes no sense, doesn't it?
But if my point was if they shut off, if they didn't have internet, which I find hard to believe
No.
because they wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, no, they have internet.
But she
But she don't-
specifically said internet.
She's sending her email on the phone.
Right, so here it is.
Hotspot.
The internet-
That's what I was just gonna
The
say.
landline internet for them is on their office side. And then in the summer, they get a router for Wi-Fi for the rest of the building.
That makes sense.
Their guy on Monday is coming to run a patch,
Hard.
a hardwire over through the roof over to the other side to hook up. So that we'll have hardline access year round.
Yeah.
Wouldn't just having Wi-Fi year round be cheaper?
I have
Hey,
no
$80 a month.
I can't think of some sort of service upgrade. where, like,
But I don't-
it's so,
I don't
like,
know,
powerful
but-
that many people can be on it.
Right, it could be, yeah. I mean, it's possible. I mean, who knows what they're boosting out there. in
So
terms of signals.
if you have a modem for internet, usually the standard is a modem.
And if they
slash-
use that as the access point to upload scores, results,
That's different, yeah.
live streaming of the competitions, yeah, who knows? I don't really care. I just need to get internet on the other side of the.
And we're not paying for this. That's,
Nobody has said anything to me about.
I don't think we should, seeing as how they forgave the horse show
No, I don't-
$20,000 last year and you're not.
I don't mind if we do, I just, it's like, if we are paying for it, then we should have some sort of say and have a conversation with them.
Oh, you know,
That's
it's
what
gonna
we-
pay not Wednesday to do their.
Yeah, I mean, right, well, it'll cost $450 for them to put the firewall in, and it takes them 15 minutes to do. Okay.
Do they have a server too? Like,
Well, no.
No, need
the-
a server.
No, we don't need a server. Twin State's the server. We have a
Twin
firewall,
State's
North
our
Elba, give
vendor.
them, to give that computer North Elba access, email, all of that. They have to install the
To
firewall.
put the firewall in so that the horse show can't see what Trent
Mhm.
is doing and Trent won't
See,
access
they
to
have
those.
their own firewall,
So
and-
it's the-
but it costs $451 and change for Twin State to install the firewall remotely on a computer
In 10 minutes.
in about 15 minutes.
Because they have to pay their overhead. So speaking of Twin State and overhead, way back when we were having issues with not having access to documentation and we asked about Twin State, can we get some of Chelsea's emails back so that they would have something to work off of? Twin State was unable to do that because there was no backup solution for Microsoft's emails, right? Like our Microsoft doesn't back up. Twin State backs up files that are on our computers, like files we create,
Yep.
but not our email files. So they do have a backup solution.
But do we have access to Chelsea's account?
No.
No.
There's nothing. There's nothing. They
So
can't.
maybe that's something we need to approach as an organization, that as long as you have an email, unless you're elected official.
Well, and so my argument was
We
is
should have
that because we are a governmental agency, we're subject to FOIL. Will be.
Yeah.
And if we get foiled, we have to
Produce.
produce, right, we cannot produce
No.
any past employees' emails. They're gone, they don't exist.
So having said that, what we are being proposed, in addition to what we pay them now, this is not a replacement, this is in addition to, for approximately $3.60 per user per month, they have what they call SaaS protection, infinite cloud retention, Office 365 users, which will
Probably just
Back up.
storage space on Amazon.
Yep.
That's pretty cheap.
It's here. As Jeremy was saying, we really should be doing this. I don't have another, I mean, we already work with Twin State. For the most part, they're decent. I don't think we get it much cheaper anywhere else. So if you guys are good with doing this, it would be probably a good idea.
Last week I just downloaded all my Outlook information, all my emails and dragged it over to my desktop.
Nice.
So now it's back
How
up.
many people do you think are gonna do that?
And ensure that they have all of
And
them.
you had to do it regularly.
So,
Can do it and want to do it.
I know.
right.
Yeah.
So there's that. So I
So
would. say-
360 per computer.
It's like right now, it's $3.60 per month per user. Right now, it would be about $113, what is that dollar? $112 a month right now. Obviously, it'll go up as we add users, Trent, Eric. I say, but they're both being added after this quote was given to me. And as we transition from having people who have standalone installs on old computers to new computers with Office 365 subscriptions.
So
it'll increase.
$1,600 to $2,000 a year, we have backup.
So I'll give it to you tomorrow for you. to
You
sign.
guys decide if you want to start it this summer or wait till budget.
It's fine to start it now. It's
Yeah.
minimal.
We need it.
Yep.
All right, thank you. And, the others, anything else that's related to
Cell phone
stuff?
park district.
Yeah, but that's,
That way.
right, and we need.
So
we need
I'm
to
done.
use that.
I don't have anything else.
All right. Hope going through your process is manageable. It's the hardest question we all ask ourselves. One is at time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I don't know how much of what you guys are gonna be talking about needs to be something that I'm involved in because of the HR sections.
Yeah, I don't. That's up to you.
I'd like to go from this right into HR, just to know that as a board, the direction with an employee going HR is the direction we prefer. Personally, that is mine over contracting that service out. I think that's the one place we have to start, so we know we have a direction.
But the person is Adrian.
Yes.
And you think that once Park District is a little bit more standing up,
Stable.
yeah, then you're gonna have time, because how much of your time is human resources?
Depends on what needs to get done.
Oh, no.
And then what's in it?
Maybe. And, I don't do it by week. I would say
No, but-
probably in a whole year, maybe 10%.
But look at.
Maybe 15
Park
depends.
district.
Right.
Park district's the bulk of it. and
Right.
Yeah,
I'm already involved.
Park
doing most
district
of it.
more than
So
half.
I don't know that.
If you're saying 10%, so just the numbers, you're spending 4 hours a week.
But yeah, on average, but some
That's what I'm
weeks,
saying. No, I'm
I
just saying.
don't do it at all. In other weeks, like yesterday, I did the whole day.
Yeah.
So,
So
But it's
here's,
also-
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but I mean, I think there's. How could we either streamline, need to create new processes, things like that, so. What may have only been 10% is only gonna increase over time in terms of what type do we do for onboarding? What are the decisions that are made for doing other aspects?
Onboarding,
That-
offboarding.
That just make the process better for the employee.
Mhm.
That frankly, you just don't have time to do, like,
Yeah.
whether it's not an issue, whether
I
you want to do.
never had the training. I just picked it up and kind of ran with it. So,
Right.
Along with that, let's move forward assuming,
But to your point, in Elaine, asking the question, I don't know, and we talked about this yesterday, like. We could get Park District in a much better spot, and we're certainly heading in that direction. But it's only as good as the people that we have, and the summer employees that we're hiring this summer I think are really competent and capable. We may not have them next, and we're gonna have to start over again in some regard of both finding a person, an adaptation to program, so I mean, it's. So yes, if we have some continuity in that building forward and it's stable, then I think Adrian for sure would have the capacity to be able to do that. But as soon as one or two, or we have to do a whole new boatload of hire, it's gonna be tough.
Well, that's the actual process that hasn't even been created yet. Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm hearing? The onboarding, offboarding, making it.
Oh, no, I'm not talking, I'm just talking about Park District, the work that Park District
Right.
has to do.
In other words,
So-
Adrian having time to do it.
Correct. If we-
My point is, I think, okay, to take what you just said, we're in a good place right now. Okay.
We're heading in the right.
I mean,
Way better.
Two of the right.
Yes, we're in
The
a
summer,
way better
the
place than
summer.
we were before.
We're in a
Yeah.
way better place than we were this
Which I
time
can
last year.
Provide and.
So therefore, and I think we're all pretty much in agreement that we don't want to contract it out at this point.
Yeah.
So I think if I do a good point right now, and we can say, let's have Adrian do it, and if it blows up in another 8 months or a year, we can always reverse that.
Well, or it's, I'm not gonna say easy, but filling the role of Park District assistant, so to speak, is easier to fill than an HR.
Yes, sure.
can I put my 2 cents in here? I think, to start with, regardless of whether you outsource or not, you need to have a point person within the town.
Yeah.
That can be somebody who, if you outsource, is the contact,
Yeah.
right?
It's even still.
And for that purpose, I think Adrian's request to do the training with the SHRM
Yeah.
certification and stuff would be a really good starting point.
So either way, that's the point. I think from this point on, if we're all in agreement, we go Adrian's direction and see where it goes.
Adrian, I got just a couple of questions, and I guess it more relates to maybe in a lame duck and Rick coming on board, the confidential secretary part and the airport part. In looking for this new person, should we gear airport toward a new
I'll put my
budget?
next 2 cents in on there.
I'd like in,
Frankly,
because,
from an accounting point of view and an auditing point of view, it makes sense for my replacement and for me even to be the person that does the airports.
right, I mean, we are lucky
Because
Adrian's.
I
still
know
on.
that
All the stuff filed and then go
Right.
over.
And
but-
as long as the people talk each other, that's fine, but for when it comes time to do the audit, if I don't have
Every.
all the stuff they need, I'm gonna be bugging her every 5 minutes to get it
Right,
for the auditor.
And I think the other thing too, and this, where you're going to, Derek, is that, I mean, I think there's probably a couple other things that could come off of her plate that are. She's doing them and because she can manage them right now, but it's like, if you're gonna do the HR thing, do you need to do the deposit, the bookkeeping? I mean, is there?
Well, that goes back to the request you got from,
oh, that's,
because that would be reverting back to where things were before when you had a deputy down here.
right,
I'm just saying, but there are other choices that could, of responsibilities that Adrian has now, which is 4, 3, 4, 5
and
deep,
broad, yeah,
that could be.
But I feel like I've also streamlined those processes since I've been here, and
That's
it's
true.
way less of a problem than it was before.
Yeah, but it's also, it's an option.
Yeah,
I got you.
but yes.
I'm just saying, the
It's a discussion.
last thing we wanna do is overload.
Oh, yeah.
We wanna keep these job descriptions manageable.
The other thing too, and again, everything I say comes from an accounting standpoint, right? You have to have the internal controls in place, and you can streamline and make your processes efficient, but you can't go to the extreme where you're taking bookkeeping away from her and say, giving it to Rose, because she's the accountant, because then you don't have the separation of duties,
Right.
and you're opening yourself up to fraud or whatever else.
Yeah.
If you have somebody who's not
Well,
trustworthy.
I think Jeremy just throwing it out. That's about
Right,
it.
it's a review. It's
Yeah.
just looking to see what's possible.
Yes.
The other option that someone threw out to me from the village was that it could be a shared position with the village. Did someone talk to you about that? Because the village needs an HR person as well.
I like that.
So another option for a joint possession, or just get rid of the goddamn village, but no.
Can I just say?
We're recording.
I'm just gonna throw out there from an HR point of view. You don't want one of our employees dealing with the village because of police and fire. You don't want that on your boat. Let them take care of their own HR.
I'm speaking with that right now. Them being Mindy and,
Yeah, cause I know it's a mess.
well, not regarding HR, but other possibilities of
Yeah,
collaborating.
you better talk to your brother, so we can.
Because if that's a shared role, they have to have the same HR process, or that person would have.
Well, it's with Jack.
Go by two different.
It was Jackie and I was like, the person would have to know
Same
two totally different HR policies
Policies.
in different unions. And she was like, well, anything's possible. But yes, she would definitely be an HR person for two different organizations.
Yes, yes.
So it would be like, are you a village or town employee? And then they would have to go to that set of policies.
Right.
And then also the union, like the village has 4 unions.
So that's like,
No, that's a lot.
You don't want to take that
No,
on.
I don't like that. No.
But, so we have approval to sign her up for the
I think
Society for Human Resources.
just plain logic.
No decisions will be made at this meeting.
I'm gonna make an arbitrary decision and give her the credit card so she can sign up.
I think it's already been given.
The course is in June. There's a 3-day course.
We don't want to talk anymore about it.
Do you get to travel for it?
No, it's on.
That was an option, but I didn't ask you on
Is it in Las
I mean,
Vegas
I-
or someplace like that?
I could have gone to
it. I
Houston.
could have got a New York City.
Jeez.
No,
Anyway, okay, so going on.
Sacrifices.
So I think that we need cell phones for the camp director and the nurse. So, cause I don't want Alicia to give out to parents that they need to call and say, I'm not bringing my kid,
Yeah.
you know, whatever that is, we need to protect a little bit there. And so I do think even if it's just a burner phone for the summer, like a Cricket or something
Do you
like
think
that.
it's easier and cheaper just to have an email address for her and then have an iPad or like a?
Well, so part of the process that we have this year, again, and we can get into what we have for counselors and stuff like that, is being able to assess on a weekly basis and knowing that, so we had to put into place a policy that if they miss more than 3 consecutive days, then we're removing them from the camp
Without notification.
without notification. So that we can try to manage better the number of counselors and how many counselors we're paying to the number of campers that we actually have camping. And part of that also is because I'm not sure that we'll be able to fully staff based on counselors. I mean, we have a good number. We could always use more to accommodate. So I feel like that's gonna create more phone traffic or the need to say, so-and-so's out again today, but because they're sick or something along those lines. And I just,
There's a consistent number from year to year, and Alicia might not be able to do it next year.
right.
So
It's the same phone number,
Yeah.
and then that's
Yeah.
like the emergency number too. Like if they see that number pop up, then they'll be like, oh, it's camp.
Right, and for the same reason, I also just philosophically have a problem with, while the nurse will not have to be on site every day, they will check in regularly on site. But if Alicia, as the medical provider on site, needs consult, I want her to be able to call the nurse and have that conversation. Again, I just don't know that that should be their personal cell phones. as
I
they
have a
use.
problem giving somebody who's only gonna make $3,000 for a few days of work, a cell phone paid for by the town.
That's why I think maybe that phone can be a track phone,
Mhm.
because who cares if that number changes every year?
Right, that one,
You know,
because
like,
that's
if
not
it's
getting
track
it.
phone with a set of minutes on it or
Yeah.
something.
Well, then within the communication, there's gonna be a lot of back and forth between parents, doctors, and so on and so forth, potentially, right?
I'll go,
For the nurse to verify,
well,
So
Alicia
that might
would be
be-
the point person.
Well,
not for the
no,
records.
not for the
No.
records in the beginning.
So I don't think they're trying.
But I think- But I think she's gonna do that work here. So she will come in and look at the applications, because that needs to be secure. We can't
Yeah, I'm
send
not letting him-
emails. We're not letting the applications
Leave the office.
leave the office for HIPAA reasons. So she has to be here, and if she's here, she can use the phone at the office to call the doctors.
So then, okay.
Yeah, so that's really where I think, again, I agree, the track phone, maybe for the nurse makes more sense, because it's really just about the camp director being able to have access to the medical director.
Plus, if you don't buy minutes, you can do a prepaid, whatever.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can't say it's gonna be a lot. That's why I think a track phone or, cricket or something like that, that's, you buy a 60-minute card for, $50.
Just phone down, you can just purchase the phone. If it's an inexpensive phone, you can just buy it per month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking about getting to that.
Yep.
But I do think that Alicia needs an actual phone.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay,
That's what I'm
so-
saying.
Once you buy a phone, like our Verizon account, once you buy a phone, it's like $25 to $26 a month. So, but it's a year round thing.
Yeah,
So.
So that's just because of our plan, we can't have somebody on and off. Like our
I-
family
we
share
can-
plans, we can put someone on and off.
We haven't done-
Adding a new device, it complicates things.
So we've done it in the past, but on our current plan, I don't know if it's allowed because it hasn't been asked for. Years ago with John for Blackfly, the town had issued phones for those employees because they needed it for safety purposes, being out in the field and if they got hurt because they're by themselves. And at that time, we were allowed to ask for a seasonal suspension. We could only get 6 months out of the year. So you paid for them for 6
so better
months.
than 12 months.
So I can check into that to see if that's still an option.
And then based on that pricing too, it might make sense just to do a real phone for the.
For the nurse as well.
Right, it's the same, yeah,
Okay, so I'll check.
and to see what's possible.
And so then I'm assuming, which I'm not gonna micromanage, just asking you a question, but I'm assuming that Alicia is gonna take attendance every day. Or
Oh.
we can't.
Oh, yeah, they have to. Yeah, they have to have signed in. They have to have sign in and sign out, and that is reviewable by the DOH to see what that is. So the fact that I don't personally believe that was ever done or done appropriately just means that DOH never caught us in not doing it
Yeah.
correctly.
Or that we had a nurse who didn't know they were the nurse, yeah. so.
Same thing. Yeah.
And then the other thing I had asked Adrian about, I think maybe you answered my question. So when Adrian and I talked about this yesterday, she mentioned the thing about, like asking people to sign up also for like a particular week.
Yeah.
And so you would fluctuate your staffing based on the numbers.
Yeah.
But I said, well, how are you gonna decide who doesn't get to work?
So counselors, so you have to have a specific number of counselors based on the age range that they're there, because their supervisory level is different. And so you have a counselor that works with the little kids, you have a counselor that works with the middle kids, you have a counselor that works with the older groups. So there's 3 age groups. And really it's when we see what the applications come in for and whatever Alicia is comfortable with, like this is a counselor that should be with the little kids. They're the most responsible, they have the best demeanor for them. So the counselors in a way get somewhat pigeonholed to the group. And so really it's looking at what the application numbers are, like the oldest age group that we have
It's very small.
it's super small. Yeah, it's tiny. And so so you're only gonna need to hire 2 or 3 counselors to work with that group. And sure, I mean, there's gonna be some fluctuation, but I think that's where we just try for better budget management, just try to do it as close as we can. I mean, sure, there could be a week that we're gonna have an extra person or two.
Okay, so you're not within the summer, you're not gonna say like week 7, you're not working.
I don't think so. It's just hard to know until we actually see what the actual numbers for the campers are.
You're working in the deficit now, right?
What's
With the counselors? Is
We have
that-
10.
Right, we have 10, right, we're working in a deficit right now.
Okay, so I don't think that's a problem yet.
Correct.
Good, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would probably need to hire 4 or 5 more before that actually might get an issue for 1 or 2 people.
Problem to solution. This was the fastest we've done this process yet.
We haven't even talked about lifeguards yet.
And we haven't even talked about lifeguards.
Can I do that?
Sure. What day are we opening?
We're opening June 14th.
It's gonna be snowing, but.
That'll be right. We will champion on because we are going
Yeah.
all the way to level 4.
We've pushed hard. We are opening June 14th. We have 9 lifeguards and 3 fill-ins for schedule fluctuations.
So 3, when you say fill-in, you mean like on-call?
Like, yeah,
Right, yeah.
PMs?
Yeah, and if it's busy, if we know like 4th of July, it's somebody else if we need that extra person on,
Yeah.
then.
And
These
what's your
peop-
staffing good? Like, are they gonna be 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week?
I think it's gonna work out to be between 30 and 35.
These people just sort of appear. I mean, there wasn't a push like, oh, you hired Jim Grant, 10 lifeguards showed up the next day.
Jim did a lot of it.
But he did a lot, but we did have 7 or 8 that had applied.
Yeah,
Okay,
For
good,
the gym.
That's-
a lot of returning.
really.
I did a whole push to all the counselors and lifeguards last year to see who wanted to come.
Have they cleared
Jim's interview.
Emily?
We had that discussion.
She's not micromanaging. She said it.
No.
We have a
Jim has
great.
interviewed each of the,
Yeah.
Jim has
He
interviewed
knows,
everybody.
he
personally.
knows the, good.
We had a
Adrian, tell me
discussion
again,
about the
10
size.
guards, 2 alternates?
9 and 3.
9 and 3.
3.
And they know that if they're returning, they're not getting an increase. That they're still at 23 an hour.
Yeah, we've given them what their
Okay.
pay rate is.
Okay,
We
cool.
didn't-
Does the 9 include Jim?
No.
Okay,
No.
no, Jim, he will be guarding.
Oh, he is the ball.
I fully expect it to.
And then, yeah, counselors, she wants to have 2 head counselors. But we have, yeah. It's going in a
Good.
good,
Excellent,
a
Jeff.
dozen kids already. Signed up.
And our counselor that is a lifeguard is not included in those 9 and 3?
Not yet, she has not accepted yet, but I expect that by Friday.
Okay,
Yeah.
We know
to
that we need to have a counselor that's also the lifeguard certified person that's there on the Tuesday, Thursday.
yeah.
And even as a potential possibility, that could even be the health director.
Oh,
Who
Because
has
she-
said,
she's
like,
a
she's like, yeah, she's a certified lifeguard.
We've
instructor
we've
as
offered
well.
it to her, but she hasn't accepted.
Yeah.
formally accepted.
Formally.
But if she does,
Yeah.
she'd get paid as lifeguard for the hours
Oh,
that she does, separate
Like-
from
right,
the health director's stipend.
Correct.
yeah.
Yep.
That's great news.
Yeah.
No beach attendant,
We've had no apps for beach.
No,
attendant
yeah.
with 9 lifeguards, you do not need a
No.
beach attendant.
That's what I was thinking. That was more of a stopgap last year.
Yeah.
Was that, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just because they said they couldn't possibly pick up trash.
At the same time.
And they only had 4 or 3 or 2 lifeguards.
Right.
So they will.
So that was they better be picking up trash.
Yeah, no, then that's what they will be doing.
Are you using we'll call it the new lifeguard handbook?
Yes.
Yep, we've gone through it. I mean, we've changed a little bit of language here or there, but nothing.
Can you
Just,
provide me a copy of that one? That's, cause I can
Yeah.
put that on paychecks and that
Yeah,
way it's.
we have we have,
Oh, yes.
right, and there's the handbook for the parents for camp, which is not an employee thing, but
But it's a good reference for them.
My goal is to draft a handbook for the counselors as
Yeah.
well. and piggyback on the lifeguard handbook and.
There was one.
Oh, I'm sure there was, but it was never, I'm sure there was. Never.
There was one, but
I'm sure DOH requires that.
yeah.
We don't have
No,
access to
because-
that
Yeah,
information anymore.
if they go and do the training down in Lewis, then they're, okay, then what we do is addition to.
Oh, yeah, because they
Pretty
did
much.
your training.
Do you have your DOH permit for Camp Placid?
It's already in.
What did you end up putting in for, field trips?
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, so we put in the two open to operate, but they're letting us submit the actual activities after the fact.
And so Alicia's working on that maybe with Keith.
Yep, talking with Keith, and she's also gonna meet with Eric about the golf component as well, so, yeah. That's
So as we plan those, Brianna just said just send it to her.
Yeah, Brianna said they only really need them like a week and a half in advance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she said, yeah, just feed them to us as you get them and we're good.
I need one for every single separate activity,
Yeah.
arts and crafts. Any kind of sports, one for each. And
And,
only two were submitted last year.
And all the stuff you buy for crafts,
Yeah.
all that stuff, we need MSDS sheets and they need to give it to Rose.
What's MSDS?
Material safety data sheets. So if somebody gets squirted in the eye with paint, they know how to treat them. And they should be in a binder and available for all the youth counselors and whatever to access.
You said squirt in my eye and I rubbed my eye.
So the next 2 months, that's what
Yeah.
we'll be finishing is all the safety plans, getting the list together. And
And then my final micromanaging thing is, it's not my final one.
It's just the five one.
In the next 10 minutes.
Is if, Alicia or Keith is, I really think that they need to utilize the free Young and Fun series at LPCA, because it's just a matter of busing. And that I think there's 3 or 4 that happen during the summer, but that schedule is probably out. I can look it up.
Okay.
Because it's free, so you just have to arrange for the busing, and Tim doesn't charge us for the buses.
no, yeah, I just have to get the bus driver. And that needs like you know.
I'll bet he's already passed back.
Then what they would have it.
Doesn't the
bus driver.
school
Yeah,
usually?
they do, they have to.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Okay, 9 minutes.
Yeah, you put me last. Okay, so
Well, I didn't ask for it.
camping at Horse Grounds. So DOH will allow up to 60 hours of camping at a venue without a camping permit to operate. So this, apparently, we've been out of compliance in this in previous years because we have allowed Ironman to camp volunteers at the showgrounds. They are typically over 70 hours, so they're already have exceeded a yearly mandated amount. And then on top, so that's already was a violation, and then we would have had other groups. Brian Delaney, one of them. I've heard that there are other groups as well, but I don't know who they are. I've just heard, oh yeah, we had some other people that came and camped, and I think Greg Bolsher had some other people come and camp that were doing a hiking thing. That all would have been out of compliance because we would have used our hours already for Ironman. So the best that we could do would be to offer some limited access to Ironman. I don't think that's helpful to them. Irrelevant, but I'm just saying, because like I think they need a place to camp and they're gonna want to camp the whole time. But I think it limits our options for any of the other programs. Some of them have been kid related. Which opens up a whole other can of worms for supervision and how they're doing that, but. So I just don't know if we want to burn our total 60 hours just on Ironman, but that's not my call.
And there's no venue, like you can't apply for a permit or anything?
You can, but then the book is
You
like,
would have to be deemed as a campground.
you have to be deemed as a campground, here's the manual.
Even if the fire
They
department
actually do that.
is, I think they are.
I think they are, because they operate.
Because they actually operate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I'm not in agreement with you that using even 1 hour of camping. we're not a campground.
Right.
And listen, everybody else that comes here figures out how to get lodging.
Or camp someplace else.
Well,
Yeah,
So when the showground, when the horse show people come in, a lot of them bring in campers and they park them off where Old Military or whatever.
yeah.
That's for the.
They're not,
Those are horse trailers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what-
sure.
so where do they go? They just.
Well, that's what,
stay-
actually,
They're gonna be putting a lot of help, I imagine.
Rich bring a trailer?
yes, he does.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
actually,
So they.
during the
just
horse
stay-
show, I think there's 3 trailers on property. 2 or 3.
Camping trailers?
Some of those do have
We need to, that's.
lodging
Conversation.
in the
That's
trailers.
part of our contract with Horse Show.
Right.
Yeah, I know there's at least 2, I think there's 3.
And it's not based on the number of people, it's just the number of hours of camping, so
In an entire year.
in
we're
an
only
entire
allowed
year,
60.
60
You
hours.
could have Woodstock there.
That's ridiculous.
60
So we have to be deemed as a campground.
So you see, we need to bring that up with Horse Show like yesterday. Especially for Rich, because there's a whole clause on, RVs and camper trailers.
Be in and out.
Would it behoove us to start the process maybe for next year to get the designation as campground?
No.
No.
Then
We don't wanna run a campground.
we don't, just because you have the designation doesn't necessarily mean you want to run it as.
Don't make it public knowledge.
But it's just, but we can continue to accommodate what we already have agreed.
Yeah, but once you.
Even the regs
What-
that
somebody's-
a shower.
Oh, there's ever kids camping, forget it. Like,
Showers.
It's so,
So I just don't even know that. we can
Attendants
do
on
that.
duty all the time when somebody's there.
And yeah, also the fact that there's a children's camp there. I don't think that goes well with campground.
No.
Unless they're
Or
doing.
counselors.
We got the prison bathroom.
Tear it down, Jerry.
All right, so,
So no to Iron
first
Man,
contract.
and then we have to have a separate conversation with
Or show.
Porsche.
That's not in the Ironman
Is-
contract.
I was just gonna ask that.
No, it's just volunteers and Butch has just allowed them to do it over the decades.
There's also set up back by, like, I think it's during lacrosse or rugby. I feel like it's lacrosse. There's always a trailer. like-
I put the run to that one.
Oh, you did already? 'Cause
Well-
They would hook up to the water and, cause there's
Yes.
a sewer water thing there. Maybe it's water, cause sewers don't have.
Yeah.
And,
And fill their tanks and,
There's a lot of that going on.
yeah,
well, they,
by the bridal trails.
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I have a conversation with Eric on Friday about my next topic and I can bring up to him and just say, make sure that we understand there can be no
There's tons of
camping.
that.
So they're aware.
Or maybe communicating with organizations that
I think they're
utilize.
expanding.
Yeah, but that's what, right, and that's.
Will
what
if we know.
If we know, like I'm finding out as we go.
I guess maybe I'm just focusing on Ironman, but I know that
Yeah.
we know what wrong, so it would be polite to kind of.
Yeah.
Say it's been out of compliance.
Oh, yeah, no, I've already, I let them know that we had been operating out of compliance, unknowingly. But
We can let
that
it
doesn't
go
mean
tomorrow
that,
at lunch.
yeah.
Just cause
Yep.
it's always good then, doesn't
You know,
it?
thank you for lunch and by the way, good.
We're lucky.
So the next one
We'll
is,
get lunch.
so the next is I have a conversation with Kevin and Eric on Friday because PLL is requesting their two additional camps next fall. One on the weekend that we have the Euro car show, which I think from that standpoint is probably fine because they're gonna be over on the other side. It's probably gonna be about 35 teams. So still relatively small. So I think that one's probably gonna be okay. The next one though is the one that I'm more concerned about, which is maybe I'm less now that I heard from Olaf today, is Columbus Day weekend. So they'll have,
First enforcement.
what's that?
First enforcement.
We'll have the Flaming Leaves ski jumping. We'll have the marathon. And could be another lacrosse camp and the soccer. But Olaf said that he'll move soccer completely over to elementary school.
Which they have always done.
But I don't, and this is where in that email this morning, like, I don't think that happened.
No, I did.
this
You're,
last year.
you're confused about the dates, cause my kids are doing it. The Columbus Day thing is like a thing that's at the elementary school and it's only starting at Lake Placid and it's really lame. And like, there's no one there and there's nothing at the showgrounds.
What you're referring to is section 7 which was on schools. Oh, no, not,
There was
Yeah,
a big,
There was a big.
There was, but it was not,
World
it,
Cup.
it did
Do we
move
know
into
what it
something at
was?
Florida. It was like the Essex County, they move every Saturday play day moves to a different town in the county, and there's usually two that are held at the showgrounds. And Matt did, like, were to ask Matt not to do it on a weekend where there was something, like, I don't know if it was World Cup or Flaming Leaves or something, and Matt didn't listen, and he did it anyway, but it was not Columbus Day weekend.
You sure? Cause I almost feel like I remember going in there.
Years,
'Cause I-
like 5 years ago.
100%.
But I was like, I don't know anything about it.
I mean, you can look at the soccer schedule. Columbus Day weekend is always that thing that Olaf does at the school where everyone's a country. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think,
What
I want
was
to
it?
say that happened, because I remember going to Lake Placid, it wasn't last year, because it rained last year, Lake Placid Classic, right?
No, year before.
The year before.
So what was at the high school then? Last year during Columbus Day weekend?
That was with World Cup soccer,
Yeah.
youth soccer.
Okay,
yeah.
who runs that?
Olaf.
But not the Lake Placid Youth Athletic Association.
He moved, 1 year we had a conflict, which was like 6 or 7 years ago. Ever since then, he said, I'm going to move my tournament to the high school, elementary school.
I just know that Columbus Day is like the celebration of like the end of soccer, and it is at the elementary school, and it's very small.
Okay.
And it's not
So
actually
I'll-
other team, you're supposed to like dress like a country.
Yeah, so I'll reach out to Tim and Jeff and just say, like, there's a lot of things already happening down there, because last year there was something at the high school that was happening. And I was the one that actually had to call the police because it was a nightmare traffic out in front.
And so that also could have been, if it wasn't soccer, the track has a major section 7.
Maybe that's what it is,
That's
those
what I
school buses.
And soccer did happen at the same time as that, and there was no parking anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
There was
Section
hundreds of
7.
people.
It was very congested.
Yeah.
That's what.
And it was like a normal soccer day, like it was during the week.
Yeah.
So the championship is during the week.
I'll reach out to Jeff and
Yeah,
Tim.
Yeah, I think.
Just have a
that would
conversation.
answer the question.
Okay.
Hopefully.
So that would, but that was, still is gonna be a concern for that Columbus Day weekend. So if we're just talking about what's happening in town, there's already a lot happening in town.
well, we
And I-
can't give up that new parking lot because Flaming Leaves is gonna fill that.
Yes. So, but
'Cause this is-
athletics would not use that. The athletic field's going to use the showroom.
Right.
parking.
That's right.
But I'm just saying, within
Not a show.
conjunction of each other is gonna be
So we
a
make sure-
lot of
No,
events.
yeah, we did.
I'm really hesitant, even though the fields are open,
In the driver.
that's a lot of traffic in that spot.
Or the Euros that weekend?
The Euros?
Yeah.
No, it's the weekend. No, Euros are the 27th, 28th.
Okay, because it
Yeah.
used to be Columbus.
Yeah, so that weekend, I think they're okay, because it's just Euros and just that.
Yeah.
So I think that is fine, but having 3 or 4 major events all within
200 yards.
200 yards of each other with traffic all over the place, I just feel like that's gonna be a nightmare.
We should get a dog show going and get the pump track and we have a
That-
competition. We have the all.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, the Saranac Lake line down the road?
And it'll go along with the busted water lines everywhere.
So is everybody okay with the first but not the second,
Right,
with that
it's-
assessment?
Really?
Is everybody okay with the first weekend, the 27th, 28th, with the Euro going on? That's the only, so there are only 2 things. There's enough separation. There's not a ton of people who go to Euro versus the other. But
If
that
you're not
Columbus
okay with it,
weekend-
we're not okay with it.
Yeah, I just.
If you're okay with it, we're okay with it.
Yeah, I think it's a nightmare waiting to happen.
Okay.
Okay,
Jason and I should leave in 7 minutes.
okay.
You do fantasy?
Rookie ball.
Rookie, we're up to rookies now. Kids are grown up.
Yeah.
Do I need permission to hire Jordan Craig to do new drone shots and aerial shots of Craigwood?
How much is it gonna cost?
Probably about $1,500.
Yes, it's something budget.
we'll find
You
it.
can't act on it.
So put it on their.
When it comes on the.
Board minute for board meeting.
Okay.
You
got
need a
that?
resolution.
You know, we can do it for that. It's not green, right?
Well, no, right.
Oh, no.
I just want to get him on the schedule.
I'm not done yet.
We need to go to executive session. We have one executive session.
Jeremy will figure out the rest later.
Yeah, no, this one we gotta talk.
Just moving.
Yep,
So
Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
Do I need?
you're excused.
You're-
Dick,
Chuck, amendment.
all in favor, right?
Yep.
At 15, 16, 5, 16.
Why is this not working? Very close.
Hey, you two.
What's the deal? Why is this not working?